Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a complete, detailed engine breakdown of the absolute legend itself, the Honda K-Series. We're going to take you on an extended journey, literally turning raw mechanical anatomy into pure tuning alchemy. If you love understanding exactly how things tick under the hood, well, you are definitely in the right place. We've got a seriously extended, highly structured breakdown ahead of us today. We'll hit the K-Series engine legacy, diagnose some common platform flaws, dive right into block prep, rip out the timing components, and finally, get into the legendary Frankenstein hybrid upgrade.
All right, Section 1, the K-Series engine legacy, setting the technical foundation.
So here's our baseline. Both the K20 and K24 rock an incredibly robust aluminum block paired with that famous dual overhead cam IV Tech valve train. But notice the key differences here. The K24 gets that extra 2.4-liter displacement from a slightly wider 87mm cylinder bore and a massive 99mm piston stroke. Keep that stroke in mind because it's going to be a huge deal later on.
Moving on to Section 2, diagnosing common platform flaws, from subframes to audio.
Now, if you're daily driving or building a 7th-gen Accord or an accurate TSX, you've got to inspect the front subframe, literally the cradle holding your engine. These things can fail structurally in a few different ways. They might be bent from a previous collision, or if your car spent time in the salty northern states, they can suffer severe corrosion right through the crossmember. You might even notice it if your front alignment just absolutely refuses to hold. And listen, if it's structurally compromised, there's no bending it back. It literally has to be replaced.
Jumping under the hood to the engine itself, there's another notorious flaw you'll probably hear before you see. It's the dreaded VTC rattle. If you fire the car up on a cold morning and hear this harsh, grinding rattle that magically fades as the engine warms up, yeah, that's your culprit. It's caused by a tiny, worn-out locking pin spring tucked away inside the variable timing control actuator.
But it's not just the heavy metal where precision matters on these platforms. It's inside the cabin too. Take a 2007 Accord, for example. The front left speaker wiring uses light green for positive and pink for negative. If you flip the polarity on just that one single speaker, you get phase cancellation. And the result is your music sounding incredibly thin and hollow instead of punchy and full. So yeah, precision matters absolutely everywhere.
All right, Section 3, detailed breakdown, block prep, starting the teardown.
Okay, let's get our hands dirty. We kick off the block prep by stripping away all that exterior clutter. The stock wiring harness, intake manifold, exhaust manifold, all of it comes off. Next up, you'll want to grab a pry bar and carefully wrestle those heavy cast engine mount brackets right off the side of the block.
Now, a super quick but absolutely critical detour. If you happen to be converting a JDM, that's Japanese domestic market engine, to drop into a US chassis, you have to swap the JDM water pump housing for a USDM one. Why? So your alternator actually mounts properly. It takes 4 exact steps: relocating a specific mounting stud, laying down some fresh RTV silicone, popping in a new O-ring, and securing it all with one shorter M10 bolt. To pull this off, you extract that specific upper right stud. Definitely use a specialized socket for this part, and then carefully thread it into the open upper left position on the block. Once that water pump housing is all sorted, we can finally get back to exposing the internals. We'll carefully pop off that top valve cover to reveal the camshafts, then flip the whole thing over and drop the oil pan. Quick pro tip for you here: when you're pulling off the main crank pulley, make absolutely sure to save the tiny woodruff key slotted into it. Trust me, you do not want to be hunting for that thing on your shop floor later.
Moving to Section 4, breakdown, removing timing components, diving into the core.
Guys, this is arguably the most crucial step before you even touch the timing cover bolts. You absolutely must rotate and set the engine to top dead center, or TDC. If you look closely at the 2 cam gears, you need to make sure those specific punch dots and marks are oriented perfectly, pointing right at each other and straight up. With the engine locked safely at top dead center, you can go ahead and pull that timing chain cover off. And wow, now the entire front mechanical orchestration of the K-Series is totally exposed. You can actually see the main timing chain snaking its way down from the cams, weaving through the plastic guides, right down to the crank. From here, we just keep digging. First, carefully slide off the toothed pulse plate from the center hub. Once that's out of the way, grab your socket and unbolt the hydraulic timing chain tensioner. This is going to relieve all that tight slack on the chain. To wrap up the timing teardown, we'll unbolt those amber-colored plastic chain guides.
And finally, down in the oil pan area, we unbolt and completely remove the factory K24 balance shaft oil pump. It's super heavy, it's packed with balance shafts meant to keep passenger cars running smoothly, and honestly, we are getting it completely out of our way for this build.
And that brings us to Section 5, the Frankenstein Hybrid Upgrade, Automotive Alchemy.
So here's the million-dollar question. Why in the world did we just systematically tear down a perfectly good 2.4-liter K24 block? Well, we saved that bottom end to build what tuners affectionately call a Frankenstein or Frank motor. When you're talking naturally aspirated K-series builds, this setup is widely considered the absolute gold standard.
Here's the sheer genius behind the Frank Hybrid. You take the K24 bottom end, which, remember, retains that massive 99mm stroke we talked about earlier, giving you huge low-end torque. But then, you ditch the restrictive factory K24 head. Instead, you bolt on a high-flowing performance cylinder head from a K20 engine, like the K20A2. That K20 head breathes unbelievably well and rocks true, high-profile VTEC engagement on both the intake and exhaust cams. It is literally the best of both worlds. You get displacement and grunt on the bottom and screaming high RPM airflow up top.
But as any seasoned builder will tell you, you can't just slap a K20 head onto a K24 block without a little bit of specific alchemy to make them play nice. First, you've got to use a K24 head gasket to safely account for the block's wider 87mm cylinder bore. Next, since the K20 head doesn't cover it, you're going to need a specific block-off plug to seal an open oil control orifice right on the K24 deck surface. And hey, remember that heavy K24 oil pump we chucked earlier? We replaced it with a K20 Type S oil pump upgrade. Without those heavy balance shafts dragging it down, this new pump lets your hybrid engine safely rev well past 8,000 RPM without any oil cavitation. It's a real game changer.
So, there you have it. We've diagnosed the anatomy, hammered through this complete, detailed engine breakdown step by step, and revealed the true secrets of Frankenstein hybrid alchemy. So the only question left to ask is, what are you waiting for? Are you ready to grab a wrench and finally tackle your own K-Series build? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Stay curious, keep building, and I'll see you on the next one.